I was at the Garchin Institute, and in terms of our particular lineage, I would say that we have 4 greats that are living and working with practitioners in the West. Are you all seeing the picture of Garchin Rinpoche? Okay, because it's not showing on my screen. We have His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche, who's in retreat, His Eminence Garchin Rinpoche, His Eminence Nuba Rinpoche, and Kenshin Konchog Gyaltsen. And they are all in their 80s and 90s. So we have the last generation of teachers who received the traditional training. And they are profound minds. And you could say that in essence, their realization is the same, but they have a quality that's unique to each of them. And Garchin Rinpoche is one of our most wonderful and revered, absolutely revered teachers. And the blessing of being at his particular center, he turns 90 this weekend, was that I was able to ask for personal instruction, and he gave me an hour of his time, giving me meditation instructions before I started my retreat, and in particular, some insights that opened up my understanding. And then at that retreat center, there are 2 stupas. And so not only do we have his mental field of bodhicitta, the retreat cabin that I was in was in between 2 stupas, which contained the relics of the Drikung lineage. Something like 50 or 60 relics of the different lineage masters. So the palpable energy of that place is quite extraordinary. And I think I had forgotten what it was like to be near a stupa. In Vermont, I facilitated a stupa being built, and it was a part of daily life to circumambulate the stupa. But it was wonderful to have the resource of the blessing fields of the stupas as well. And then this is the morning view from my little cabin. You can see one of the stupas, and there's no way to capture the view from a top of a mesa, but it was more than 180 degrees just from my little cabin. It was a field of vastness and an open sky of vastness. And this is the nighttime view. So here's my little porch. The retreat cabins are about 16 by 16, and that includes the bathroom and little kitchen. So they're very simple, very functional small cabins. And then this is the pathway. You can see the stupa way in the distance, and there's the pathway to the stupa. So when I was able to take a walk, the walk was a pilgrimage to the stupa. So that was quite a joy every day. And that's it. So I didn't leave my cabin. That was the view. It stayed the same. The daily walk stayed the same, which meant, in essence, that by limiting everything that's going on in your life, you're able to stay present with what's going on with your mind. There's not the quality of distraction that is so noticeable in our daily lives. It's hard to describe what goes on in retreat because we are uncluttering our mind so that we can be in the present moment, alive in the present moment without conceptualizing it. So it's the direct experience as opposed to thinking about the experience and narrating for ourselves the experience. And then we have, the energy that you have within a day. And within that, it was very much like the Sharvasti retreat. Our traditional schedule is between 5 and 6 formal meditation sessions a day. And then in between, you limit your reading. I had 2 or 3 Dharma books that were applicable to what I was focusing on in my practice. So you go between formal sittings, then mindfulness, and without any kind of entertainment, you can contemplate the Dharma in terms of particular teachings or prayers, but all focused on your particular practice. And, if we were to say, well, what is the practice? It's to the best of our abilities, maintaining mindfulness, living in the present moment without conceptualizing, and generating unconditional love to the best of our abilities. And, sometimes we think, maybe the meditation practices are so different from what I'm doing every day. But the truth is, because we are on a journey to become exactly who we are, our intrinsic nature, there are rituals and meditation instructions, but we're not trying to get something new or be something new. We're trying to remove the clutter that prevents us from seeing what our nature actually is. And the meditation practices, there are varieties of them, but the insight of Lord Jigten Sumgun is that in every meditation practice, there should be a complete the complete instructions in every single practice, whether it's a sentence or a very long, elaborate ritual. So if we were to look at just our opening prayers, everything is there in a very pith way, even though there might be more philosophical underpinnings or pointing out of the profound nature of what is in our opening prayers that helps us understand the simple words are pointing to a vastness. And I think that's why it's important to have that vast landscape, because it mirrors what is being pointed out, and it mirrors the potential of our minds. And so it's very helpful to have that vast spaciousness when you're trying to rest in spaciousness. So, if I were to describe retreat simply, it would be taking the time to realize how profound and the meaning of what we've been given. And that constitute a map to who we have always been. And I really recommend for those who are able to join us in the upcoming retreat. Part of the practice that is part of my daily contemplation is His Holiness's curriculum. And what's significant about that curriculum is it's designed for the minds alive at this time to be the clearest gateway from our confusion and world of distraction to our inner nature. And after practicing it now for a decade, I really see that I'm just scratching the surface of really what he has included in that curriculum. So it's really about taking the time and clearing everything else away in the outer circumstances of your life, and then beginning to clear away the clutter in your mind. It's not so different from what we do. It's just that it's ever more subtle in terms of what we can see, in terms of both clutter and vastness. So that's that may be the best I can do to describe what retreat is like. And I'm also very curious to hear about your contemplation of the loving kindness practice, which is the foundation of everything, and your insights from Sunday Dharma as to what you're learning or seeing from the practice. So who would like to share? You know, it's funny, you really, after 30 years of practice, you really understand the four immeasurables really are the practice, whether it's new, freshly studying the Dharma, or after long years of study and practice, finally seeing that that is what it is. Annie.
I just wanted to say I felt like the presentations were really well done. I think in a large part because of your instructions, your detailed instructions, but the I forget the Divina, the Divina process, and also excerpts from the books. But I felt like the discussions were really valuable, and everybody really interacted. And I don't know, I feel like everyone really stepped up, and we had very robust sessions. I think the leaders really stepped up in a way that is really like we really got it this time, I think.
So what would you say personally is your most fresh memory of an insight that you have from the practice or the book?
I think I just think those readings and the readings about the readings about compassion and anger, and you know the discussions about the Ku Klux Klan, and the different examples from the book, the stories, you know, the prisoner and their conversation, and so timely with what's going on in the world. I think really people had a deep connection, you know. So I mean, there were so many there were so many aspects.
Okay, just one from you, not in general, but from you.
Well, some of like from some of my notes, the idea that compassion has to start by sensing our own suffering, and otherwise it's merely conceptual, and just the discussions we had around that, and the natural impulse to care, the idiot compassion, and just different, yeah, just different aspects, the soft spot of bodhicitta and the far enemy and the near enemy, all those things I felt really came to life in our discussions.
Great, thanks. Diane?
I really learned a whole lot just preparing and listening to other people. And one big thing, I think it's been a little bit obvious for the Tuesday, Thursday morning groups. I've always struggled with the just like me prayer because I get overwhelmed by all the remembering all that we're all dealing with by that prayer. And so, in really looking at a compassion overwhelm, I realized that I was missing the idea of the vastness, the idea of how important it is to remember the whole picture and ultimate reality, I guess, that it's not all to loosen your grip on this current reality and also the importance to not go into, I guess, a form of idiot compassion. I wish I could fix it all. I wish I could feed everybody. I wish I could give them housing and then go into the helplessness when you concretize those problems. So I think I learned about the idea of witnessing, of feeling and witnessing with that compassion versus moving into trying to fix. And so that was very helpful for me.
Yeah, Annie?
One thing that Kathy Breen said last week really resonated with me. She said, we have the choice to either march to war or walk in peace. And the way that hit me was like every minute you have that choice, no matter what you're confronted by. And that just sort of gave an added depth to everything we had been talking about.
Oh, that's a really nice slogan. I like that. Other thoughts, perspectives? Jim?
I think that the compilation or combination of the 16 breaths and the overall weekly experience of gathering and sangha is extremely powerful. And I'd give my own personal experience about this. I like to watch science shows and various kinds of things on the internet or on television documentaries, and I passed through one that was really quite amazing. It was called The Limit of Light, and it was a study of the spectrum that we see. We learned all this in eighth grade. Roy Gabiv, red, yellow, orange, violet, blue, violet, whatever it is in the offer, in the order. And that understanding visually in that presentation showed that so much is beyond our spectrum of being able to see ourselves. There's so much on the beyond ultraviolet and beyond or in and beyond infrared that really resonates with the whole notion of the progress through the 16 breaths with getting to impermanence and to letting go and whatnot. And it even infuses, perhaps for some, a visual experience of the central channel and the understanding of how that is such a small little tube in the vastness of this whole compendium that we are experiencing. Thank you.
It becomes so fascinating when we look at relative and ultimate together. and see how we've made our perspective like this when it's like that.
And that's what that wonderful thing that I think a lot of the group liked, that when the person was starting to cry because they lost somebody in jail, and then everybody went over it. There was, and I picked that apart in my mind afterwards, because there was no one answer in that. There was like multiple viewpoints. And that's another one of those things. A friend of mine called, a Christian mystic, called this objective correlatives. And that's really what we're looking at, what you just said, absolute and whatever the other one was, not absolute, but relative.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what we're experiencing, is this in migration and out migration of instances of experiencing a vastness and a small little period, really narrow viewpoint. So thank you.
And Kathy?
So, Kenmo, as you said, while you were in retreat, you said we went into a war and we're coming out of a war while you were in retreat. And so it's been a busy time for minds and hearts right now. And so for me, all that we've been practicing together is about coming off the cushion and practicing, like your hair's on fire. Because on many levels,
It is.
you could be like with somebody and you're downloading what's happening in the war, so you're not really present. And so being present to others fully, being present to my mind, like washing dishes, where's that mind going? And the other one, I think I've mentioned it to the group, is well, first of all, I practice before I read the news. But, when I get up and I do look at the news, and Dave and I are going to have breakfast together, not saying, like, can you believe? And and contributing to his confusion so early in the morning. So, anyway, those kinds of things, bringing this awareness kind of wherever you go, to say, am I adding to the confusion here, or am I being present to whatever is, and I have a good chance of not adding to that confusion. So that's really been the big one with the war going on for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lecto Divina, like, you can bring that off the cushion. What stands out to me? What stands out to me in this moment? What feelings are coming up? And then you have that third aspect, what emerges, the wisdom that can emerge from that. So that structure is really, a good thing to carry around.
Absolutely. Lucy, are you?
Yeah, I've been traveling on and off this last month or so, and so I haven't been to all of our sessions, but the ones I've been to have been they have been very good, and had some great conversations and insights. And coming together with the Sangha and the different practices that I've done, I can say that I've really grown in awareness. And lately, I can really feel like the idea of carrying in one hand all of the frustration and despair and the negativity that's going on, the violence and such, but in the other hand, love and the peace and compassion and hope, and that idea that these both exist in this realm, and that is what it is, and then trying to find or looking for that intersection and doing reflection to see what it is I can control and what I can't, and what actions I can take that are loving and kind and are helpful. And even if that's just sending out prayers and energy or practicing Tonglen, that it's my role is to be as positive in this space as I can be, to help add loving kindness. And so that's been a big growth for me, is just the awareness that continues to grow for me.
That's wonderful. Listening to you and everyone in their own words express that let's say steeping, like our mind is the water and we have the Dharma tea bag. And so the Dharma tea bag starts to color how our whole experience and create habits and patterns that begin to be a part of us, so that whatever circumstance we're in, whatever is going on in the world, there's a dharmic response, as opposed to our
Habit pattern.
cultural response, our habits and patterns that reflect our families and our culture. And it's the reason we stayed so long, I think it was almost 2.5 months on the loving kindness practice, was from my perspective, how can we make that so strong that that becomes the first response, as opposed to anger or frustration or confusion. How can we make loving kindness our natural response in all of these different situations? Because it is closest to our nature, and it's adding that choice out into everyone who comes in contact with you. Oh, this is another potential. I don't have to watch the news 10 times a day, and I don't have to have a reaction. I can watch the news as part of my practice. I can respond with spaciousness and kindness in all my interactions. And it's hard to hold on to that when it's artificial and when it feels sort of new, and when it takes you a lot of time to get into that space. But if it becomes your norm, then you're a resource in a small way or in a large way. I was really thinking about Garchen Rinpoche when I was in retreat, thinking about he is someone you can count on to always be in that space. And he has the confidence of his realization to say, I am always in prayer. And, worldwide, he has millions of followers. So anybody who's yelling out, help, I can't handle this moment, connecting to him is, he is always available because he is immovable from that place. And so we are working from where we
Agree with that.
the ability to be the best resource that we are, gradually enlarging until we can be the kind of resource that he is. Does that make sense to you? Sarah, were you about to speak, or you just?
And I think that was incredibly beautifully said, because that is the absolute truth. You have him to lean on and to remember just his life, and watching him, you have an ability to remember that there is somebody out there that can pull it off.
Well, imagine having the confidence to say to the world, I will always be there, I promise you. And, we may be saying, I can be there sometimes, but we're growing into always. And the extraordinary thing is, it's also into generations in the future. He has that promise. So it's not even limited to people who are alive right in this moment.
Well, I'd like to add something that's directly related to Garchin, but also indirectly, because one of the things that Carol said in one of our Qigong experiences very recently is something I will remember all my life. And that is, at the very end, she said, now the task is to radiate. And that's it. That's it. It's not about all these other things. It's about radiating. And our capacity, of course, is not as high as Gotchen Rinpoche or anyone else's, but we can still radiate. We can just turn that dial up just a tiny bit every day.
And our potential is the same. So our choice in life is to embody that potential. Yeah, Peggy.
I think we already are all radiating all the time, but it depends what channel you're transmitting, right? Choose your channel.
You're absolutely right. Exactly. Well, how wonderful. It sounds like it's been productive for all of us. And of course, I was thinking of all of you. Happy to see, Charlie, that you're still hanging in there and looking pretty good there. So, I wanted to mention that for the upcoming retreat, when we plan the retreats, we try and make them as financially accessible as possible, which means, we really estimate pretty carefully what Vajradakini's out-of-pocket expenses are. How much is it going to cost for our administrator? How much is it going to cost to produce the handbook? Just there's no excess, let's say, and there's no provision for the nunnery or other support. When we have people donating scholarship money, we can offer scholarship money, and the scholarship money can go. First, we offer scholarships that have to do with our expenses, and then if there's a lot of scholarship money, we can offer it for the Pilgrim Lodge expenses. But for this particular retreat, we've only had a very small amount of scholarship money, and there are more requests for scholarships. So one of the things I was thinking was when I was on retreat, that everyone who helped me get on retreat, all of the, the grant I got and those people and the Sangha, it's as though you're right there and you have exactly the same merit and blessings. And so if you're unable to come to the retreat and are able financially to offer some scholarship money, there are a couple of people who it would really benefit, and it would benefit you in exactly the same way. So just would like to mention that. And again, I can't emphasize how much you learn in even one day of retreat. Kathy.
I wanted to mention that too. If time is a concern for somebody, we are starting this retreat with a full day.
We have a one-day option, is what Kathy is saying. You can come for the first day.
Yep.
So we sort of operate on miracles
Wait,
in every way.
that is how we fly.
For those who are registering, is there an informational packet that's going to come out in terms of where this Pilgrim Lodge is and time and exactly that kind of thing?
Almost, yes. I'll let you speak to it, Sarah, but also almost everything is on the website. So if you look at the website, there are pages and pages with description. Sarah, I don't think we put up the page on what to bring and those things.
Right. It needs to be edited just a little bit. So I hope to get that done this week and get a letter out that will point you to things already on the website and then other things that you may need to know that are not on the website. So that'll come out this week for you, Jim.
Excellent.
Okay, well, it's really lovely to be on retreat, and it's not so lovely to come back to my desk, but it is lovely to come back to all your smiling faces. That part is absolutely great.